The growl started low, primal a sound Ethan hadn't heard since Kandahar. Valor's muscled frame trembled against the bedroom door. Hackles raised like spears in the darkness. 2:17 a.m. A child's scream shattered the Colorado silence. "Please, I want my daddy." Ethan's hands found his phone. Muscle memory from countless night terrors. But this wasn't his nightmare. This was real. Glass breaking. Mason's voice, desperate. Then another voice that stopped Ethan's blood cold. "She's my daughter, Cole." Jesus Christ. It was Cole. The 911 dispatcher answered as Ethan watched Valor do something unprecedented. The war dog whimpered, ears flattened, torn between trained loyalty and present danger. 6 years of brotherhood in Afghanistan, 5 years of separation, and now this. "There's someone breaking into my neighbor's house," Ethan reported, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Send everyone you have. The intruder. God help us. He's one of ours." Footsteps approached his door. Valor had to choose. "Before we continue, please leave a like and let me know which city you're watching from. Now, let's get back to the story." Ethan Carter hadn't slept peacefully in 2 years, not since the accident that stole everything worth living for Sarah's laughter, Emma's bedtime stories, the very concept of forgiveness. The other driver ran the red light, sure, but Ethan's blood alcohol was .09. One beer too many at his squad's reunion. One decision that ended 2 lives and destroyed his own. The suburban Denver house felt like a mausoleum most nights, pictures turned face down. Emma's room untouched, Sarah's coffee mug still in the sink. Ethan had tried twice to follow them into whatever came after. The first time, pills. The second, his service weapon, both times. Valor had intervened, knocking the bottle away, blocking the bedroom door, refusing to leave his side even to eat. The German Shepherd wasn't originally his. Valor had belonged to Cole Mitchell, Ethan's squad leader in Afghanistan. They'd survived 3 tours together, Cole training Valor as an explosive detection dog while Ethan handled reconnaissance. The dog had saved 14 lives over there, including Ethan's twice. Shrapnel scars decorated Valor's left flank like medals from an IED that killed 3 of their brothers. After that day, the dog developed an almost supernatural ability to sense human distress. When Cole got arrested for drug trafficking 5 years ago, the Army reassigned Valor to Ethan. "Take care of my boy," Cole had said at the courthouse, hands cuffed, eyes hollow. "And when I get out, check on Ruby for me." Ruby Mitchell, 7 years old now, though Cole hadn't seen her since she was 2. Her mother died delivering her complications nobody saw coming. Cole came home from deployment to a daughter in a grave. He'd tried, God knows he tried, but the combination of grief, PTSD, and opioids prescribed for his back injury created a perfect storm. The trafficking charge came after he started selling his prescription to afford Ruby's necessities. Mason Brennan, Cole's former brother-in-law, stepped in. A successful architect with a stable life. Mason genuinely loved Ruby. But love and fear created a toxic combination. He'd filed for emergency custody during Cole's arrest, then systematically erased Cole from Ruby's life. No pictures, no letters, no mention of Daddy, just Uncle Mason and a fabricated story about parents who died in an accident. The restraining order came after Cole's first parole hearing. Mason claimed threatening behavior, though Ethan knew better. Cole just wanted to see his daughter. One conversation, one chance to explain. 3 weeks ago, Cole got released. Ethan had offered to help, to mediate, but Cole vanished. Until tonight. Now, standing in his doorway with Valor trembling beside him, Ethan understood with terrible clarity what was happening next door. A father's desperate love was about to collide with an uncle's protective fear, and a little girl who loved the German Shepherd she fed treats through the fence was caught in the middle. The 911 dispatcher's voice crackled through Ethan's phone, professional and detached. "Sir, what's your emergency? There's a break-in at 4782 Maple Street. A child is screaming." Ethan pulled on his boots, muscle memory from countless midnight missions. "The intruder is armed and dangerous. Sir, remain in your home. Units are en route." Another scream pierced the night, not terror this time, but confusion. Uncle Mason, there's someone in my room. He says he knows me. Ethan heard Mason's voice, strained and desperate. Get away from her, Ruby. Come here. Then Cole's voice, broken with 5 years of suppressed agony. She's my daughter, Ruby. Baby. It's Daddy. I'm your daddy. I don't have a daddy. Ruby's cry shattered something in Ethan's chest. The child's terror mixed with confusion was a sound no combat veteran could ignore. Dispatcher, there's a child in immediate danger. I'm going over. Sir, do not. Ethan dropped the phone. Valor was already at the door, his entire body coiled like a spring, trained for this moment. 6 years of military conditioning kicked in. Ethan grabbed his flashlight and the medical kit he kept by the door, old habits from treating battlefield wounds. They moved across the yard like shadows, Valor leading with the silent precision of a dog who'd stalked Taliban fighters through Afghan mountains. The Brennan's back door hung off its hinges, glass scattered across the patio like deadly stars. Ethan could hear the struggle inside, furniture crashing, Ruby crying, Mason shouting. They burst through the ruined doorway into chaos. Cole stood in the living room, holding Ruby with desperate gentleness, her small body rigid with fear against his chest. He looked nothing like the squad leader who'd saved Ethan's life in Kandahar. Prison had carved hollows in his cheeks, turned his military bearing into something hunched and defensive. His clothes were thrift store cast-offs, his hands shaking as they tried to smooth Ruby's hair. Mason lay crumpled against the coffee table, face gray, one hand clutching his chest, the other reaching for Ruby. My pills. Ethan. Cole's eyes lit with desperate hope. Brother. Thank God. You understand. Tell them. They stole her from me. 5 years. Ethan. 5 goddamn years without my baby girl. Valor froze between them, every muscle taut. The dog's eyes darted between Cole, his original handler, the man who'd trained him from a puppy, and Ruby, the little girl who'd been sneaking him treats through the fence for 2 years. Ethan could see the war raging in the animal's intelligent eyes. Cole, put her down. Ethan kept his voice level, the tone he'd used talking jumpers off bridges during his brief stint as a crisis counselor. Look at her. You're scaring her. Scaring her. Cole's laugh held 5 years of bitter prison nights. I'm her father. She used to fall asleep on my chest. She called me Dada before she could walk. And now... He looked down at Ruby, who stared at him with wide, uncomprehending eyes. Now she doesn't even know me. Ruby twisted in his grip, reaching for Mason. Uncle Mason needs help. Please, mister, he's sick. The word mister hit Cole like a physical blow. His grip loosened just enough for Ruby to wiggle free. She ran to Mason, whose breathing had become shallow gasps. Heart. Mason wheezed. Kitchen counter. Nitro. Cole moved to follow Ruby, but Valor stepped between them, a low warning rumble in his throat. The betrayal in Cole's eyes was devastating. Valor, hey, boy. It's me. He spoke in German, the commands he'd drilled into the dog since puppyhood. Higher, Valor. Calm. The dog's whine was almost human in its anguish, but he didn't move. You too. Cole's voice cracked. Everyone forgets me, even you. He hasn't forgotten, Ethan said, moving slowly toward Mason. He's protecting the child, like you trained him to. Ruby returned with the pill bottle, hands shaking as she tried to open it. Ethan took it, shook out a nitroglycerin tablet, placed it under Mason's tongue. The man's color began to improve slightly, though his breathing remained labored. Cole pulled out a manila folder from his jacket, pages crumpled from being clutched too tight. Look at these. Legal documents. Proof that Mason lied to the court. He told them I was violent, unstable. But here. He scattered papers across the floor. Statements from my cellmates, my prison counselor, the warden. Model prisoner, completed every program. Drug-free for 4 years. Ethan glanced at the papers while keeping pressure on Mason's wrist, monitoring his pulse. Cole, this isn't the way. Then what is? Cole's voice broke completely. I tried the legal way. Lawyers, appeals, petitions. Mason blocked everything. Returned my letters unopened. Changed his number. Moved twice without telling me. I didn't even know what Ruby looked like until I saw her school photo online 3 weeks ago. Ruby looked between them, confusion replacing fear. Something in Cole's voice, perhaps, or the way Valor kept looking at him with recognition despite maintaining his protective stance. You said you're my daddy. Yes, baby. Cole dropped to his knees, making himself smaller, less threatening. I used to sing you songs, the soldier's lullaby. Your mom and I made it up when you were born. Ruby's forehead crinkled. The soldier song, she whispered. Someone used to sing when the storms came. Mason tried to sit up, gasping. Don't. Listen. Dangerous. Dangerous. Cole's rage flared. You want to talk dangerous, Mason? How about stealing a child from her father? How about telling her I was dead? You told me he was dead. Ruby stared at Mason in shock. To protect you. Mason wheezed. He was drugs. Prison. I made mistakes, Cole admitted, his voice raw. After your mom died, Ruby, I got sick. Not sick like Uncle Mason right now, but sick in my head, in my heart. I took bad medicine that made things worse instead of better. But I got help. I'm better now. I just wanted to see you, to know you remember me. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Cole's face went pale. No. No. Not yet. I need more time. Cole, listen to me, Ethan said urgently. You saved my life in Kandahar. Let me save yours now. Surrender peacefully. I'll testify for you. We'll get you supervised visits. Work through the system. The system. Cole laughed bitterly. The system gave custody to a man who erased me from my daughter's life. The system ignored a mother's dying wish. What dying wish? Ethan asked. Cole pulled out a final paper, this one in a plastic protective sleeve. Emma wanted joint custody, me and Mason together. She knew I'd need help, but she wanted Ruby to know her father. Mason destroyed his copy. This is from her lawyer's files. The sirens were right outside now. Red and blue lights painted the walls in alternating patterns of emergency. Valor's anxiety spiked, his training warring with the chaos. He moved closer to Ruby, but his eyes never left Cole. Daddy, Ruby said suddenly, the word foreign on her tongue but gaining strength. Are you really my daddy? Yes, baby. I am. Then why did you leave? The question, innocent and devastating, hung in the air as police officers' footsteps thundered up the front walk. Cole looked at his daughter, really looked at her for the first time in 5 years, and Ethan saw the exact moment the man realized what he'd done. Breaking in like a criminal, terrorizing her in the night, becoming the monster Mason had painted him as. I didn't want to leave, Cole whispered as the door burst open. They made me, but I'm here now. Drop your weapons, hands where we can see them. The police officers' flashlights swept the room like searchlights in a war zone, their weapons trained on Cole. I said drop your weapons now. I don't have any weapons. Cole raised his hands, the manila folder scattering its contents across the floor. I'm not armed. Then step away from the child. Ruby clung to Mason, whose breathing had become increasingly erratic. The nitroglycerin hadn't been enough. His lips were turning blue, a color Ethan recognized from too many battlefield casualties. Cole took a step toward Ruby. She's my daughter. I have rights. Valor, high air. Cole suddenly commanded in German, his voice carrying the authority of years of training. Komm zu mir, now. The German shepherd's entire body went rigid. For 6 years, those commands had been hardwired into his nervous system. In Afghanistan, Cole's voice had meant the difference between life and death. The dog took one tentative step toward his original handler, then stopped, a sound like a human sob escaping his throat. Please, boy. Cole's voice broke. Don't you abandon me too. Ruby suddenly broke free from Mason's weakening grip, stumbling toward the kitchen. Uncle Mason needs his other medicine, the white bottle. Cole moved instinctively to follow his daughter, to help, to do something other than stand frozen while Mason died. But Valor shifted, placing his scarred body directly in Cole's path. The dog's message was clear. You don't get near her. Valor, stand down. Cole's voice cracked with desperation. He reverted to German, the language of their shared past. Aus Platz. The dog remained immobile. Amber eyes locked on Cole with an expression of profound sorrow. This wasn't defiance, it was choice. The most agonizing choice of the animal's life. Even you! Cole's knees buckled slightly. Jesus Christ, even you think I'm the enemy now. You're not the enemy, Ethan said, keeping his voice steady while monitoring Mason's deteriorating pulse. But right now, you're the threat. There's a difference. Ruby returned with the medication, but Mason had stopped reaching for it. His eyes rolled back, body convulsing once before going still. No, Ruby screamed. Uncle Mason, wake up. Without thinking, Ethan moved to begin CPR, but Cole was faster. 5 years in prison hadn't erased his combat medical training. He dropped beside Mason, checking for a pulse, tilting the man's head back to clear his airway. Move, one officer shouted. Step away from him. He's dying, Cole shouted back, starting chest compressions. 1, 2, 3. His training took over, the precise rhythm drilled into every soldier's muscle memory. Ruby watched in terror and confusion as the man she'd just learned was her father worked desperately to save the only parent she'd ever known. Daddy. The word slipped out involuntarily. Daddy, save him, please. Cole's rhythm faltered for just a moment at that word. Daddy spoken not in fear but in desperate hope. 5 years of dreams condensed into that single plea. His compressions resumed with renewed intensity. Ruby, baby, I'm trying. He gasped between compressions. Come on, Mason. Don't you die. Don't you dare make me explain to her why I couldn't save you. Ethan dropped beside them, taking over breathing while Cole maintained compressions. They fell into the rhythm they'd practiced on too many fallen brothers in Afghanistan. For a moment, the suburban living room became a battlefield, and they were soldiers again, fighting death itself. Switch! Ethan commanded after 2 minutes, and they rotated seamlessly. Cole cradled Mason's head, delivering rescue breaths while Ethan took over compressions. The officers stood frozen, weapons wavering. The scene defied their training. The suspected criminal was trying to save his victim's life. We need paramedics in here now, Ethan shouted without breaking rhythm. Forget the arrest. Get the medics. One officer broke rank, speaking urgently into his radio. Valor moved closer, his body pressed against Ruby, who buried her face in his fur, sobbing. Why won't he wake up? She cried. I don't want Uncle Mason to die. He won't die, Cole promised fiercely, though Mason's color was graying. You hear me, Mason? You don't get to die and make me the bad guy forever. You're going to live, and we're going to sort this out. For Ruby. Mason's eyes fluttered open for a moment, focusing on Cole with surprise. His lips moved, forming words without sound. What? Cole leaned closer. Sorry. Mason whispered. Letters. Kept them. In safe. The letters don't matter now, Cole said. Just stay alive. Ruby needs you. Needs. Both. The paramedics burst through the door, equipment bags in hand. They pushed Cole and Ethan aside, taking over with professional efficiency. Within seconds, they had Mason on oxygen, IV lines running, medications pushing. He's in V-fib, one paramedic announced. Charging to 200, clear. The shock, Mason's body convulsed. Nothing. Charging to 300, clear. Ruby tried to run to Mason, but Valor held her back, using his body as a gentle barrier. Cole reached for her instinctively, then stopped, hands hovering uncertainly. You can hold her, Ethan said quietly. You're her father. Cole's hands shook as he gathered Ruby into his arms. She resisted for a moment, then collapsed against him. This stranger, who called himself Daddy, who'd tried so hard to save Uncle Mason. Charging to 360. Clear. This time, the monitor showed a rhythm. Weak, but there. We got him back. Let's move now. As they loaded Mason onto the stretcher, he reached out weakly, grabbing Cole's wrist. Take care of her. Mason, both of you, take care. His eyes found Ethan. All three. She needs all three. They wheeled him out into the night, lights flashing, sirens preparing to wail. Ruby pulled away from Cole, running after the stretcher. I want to go with Uncle Mason. Family only, the paramedic said automatically. She is family, Cole said firmly. She's his niece, his daughter, his everything. And the pain in his voice at those words was palpable. Let her go. But she needs an adult. I'll go. Ethan stepped forward. I'm family friend. Emergency contact. He looked at Cole. You need to deal with the police. I'll stay with her. Cole nodded, understanding. If he tried to go, they'd arrest him. Ruby would watch her newly discovered father hauled away in handcuffs. Better for Ethan to go, to keep her safe, to prevent more trauma. Daddy, Ruby looked back at Cole, confused. Aren't you coming? I'll be there soon, baby. Cole lied, knowing the police were already moving in. You go with Ethan and Valor. They'll take care of you. As the ambulance doors closed, Cole heard Ruby's voice. But I just found you. The doors slammed shut. The sirens wailed. And Cole stood in the ruined living room, surrounded by police officers, scattered legal documents, and the ghost of every moment he'd missed of his daughter's life. Hands behind your back, the lead officer said, not unkindly. You're under arrest for breaking and entering, violation of a restraining order, and child endangerment. As the metal clicked around his wrists, Cole looked at the spot where Valor had stood between him and Ruby. The dog had made his choice, the right choice. Cole realized now, protecting Ruby from what Cole might have become if the night had gone differently, protecting her from the desperate, broken man who'd thought stealing his daughter back would somehow fix 5 years of absence. Thank you, he whispered to the empty space where the dog had been. Thank you for stopping me. The officers led him out into the flashing lights, past the neighbors gathered in robes and slippers, past the fence where Ruby used to feed Valor treats, past the life he'd destroyed and the one he'd never have. But she'd called him Daddy. That had to count for something. The ambulance hadn't even reached the corner when everything went to hell. Gun! One of the officers shouted. He's got a gun! Cole spun around in his cuffs, confusion etched across his face. What I don't have. The officer was pointing at Cole's waistband, where the torn lining of his jacket had shifted, revealing something metallic. Before anyone could react, 3 officers had their weapons drawn, laser sights painting red dots across Cole's chest. Don't move. Don't you fucking move. It's not a gun, Cole shouted, but his protest was drowned out by the chaos. "It's my knife, my utility knife from Afghanistan." Ethan, who'd been heading to his car to follow the ambulance, froze. Through the ambulance's back window, he could see Ruby watching the scene unfold, her small face pressed against the glass. "Stand down!" Ethan shouted, running back. "He's not going to hurt anyone." "Sir, get back." The lead officer swung his weapon toward Ethan. That's when Valor acted. The German Shepherd burst from Ethan's side, positioning himself directly between the officers and Cole, his scarred body a living shield. The dog faced the officers, hackles raised, a low growl rumbling from his chest, not aggressive, but warning, protective. "Jesus," one officer muttered. "The dog's protecting him." Inside the stopped ambulance, Ruby's scream was audible, even through the closed doors. "Don't shoot my daddy. Please don't shoot my daddy." The paramedic tried to hold her back, but she fought with desperate strength. Mason, barely conscious on the stretcher, tried to speak but could only manage weak gestures. "Listen to me," Ethan said, hands raised, moving slowly into the circle of tension. "I'm Sergeant First Class Ethan Carter, retired, 75th Rangers. That's Staff Sergeant Cole Mitchell, Silver Star recipient. Yes, he has a knife. It's a KA bar, standard issue. He's had it since our first tour. It's not a weapon tonight, it's a security blanket. Sir, step aside." "No." Ethan moved closer to Valor and Cole. "You want to shoot, you'll have to go through me and the dog first. And I promise you, the footage of you shooting a military war dog protecting a veteran is not something your department wants on the news tomorrow." Cole found his voice, raw with emotion. "You want to know why I carry it? Want to know why I can't let it go?" His words came in a rush, 5 years of suppressed trauma spilling out. October 15th, 2018, Kandahar Province. IED took out our lead vehicle. Thompson, Martinez, and Walsh gone, just like that. I was thrown clear, knife in hand, trying to cut Walsh free from his seatbelt while he burned. You can still see his handprints melted into the handle. The officers' weapons wavered slightly. I came home with metal in my spine and Walsh's screams in my head. The VA gave me opioids and a thank you for your service. 60 pills a month became 90. Became buying extra on the street. Became selling to afford more. You know what my disability check was, $1,847 a month. Try raising a baby on that in Denver. "Cole," Ethan warned. Seeing Ruby had managed to open the ambulance door, the paramedic distracted by Mason's monitors. But Cole couldn't stop now. The words had been bottled too long. "I was a hero once, 2 Bronze Stars, a Silver Star. I saved 7 men in a firefight that should have killed us all. And then Emma died giving birth to Ruby, and suddenly I'm alone with a newborn and a head full of ghosts. The pills made the ghosts quiet. Until they didn't." Ruby slipped from the ambulance, running toward them. The paramedic shouted, but she was already halfway across the yard. "When I got arrested," Cole continued, his voice breaking, "Mason testified against me, said I was violent, unstable, a danger to Ruby. You want to know what actually happened? I missed one custody exchange because I was in the hospital overdose trying to get clean cold turkey. Mason took that missed visit and spun it into abandonment. He had lawyers. I had a public defender who met me 5 minutes before court." Valor sensed Ruby approaching and shifted position, trying to block her, but she ducked under his legs, throwing her arms around Cole's waist from behind. "Don't hurt my daddy," she sobbed. "He was just trying to see me. He just wanted to see me." The lead officer lowered his weapon slightly. "Kid, you need to—" "No!" Ruby's voice carried a strength beyond her 7 years. "You don't understand, Uncle Mason lied. He told me my daddy was dead, but he's not dead. He's right here, and he tried to save Uncle Mason even though Uncle Mason lied." "Ruby, baby, go back to the ambulance," Cole pleaded. "Please." "No, I waited 5 years. Uncle Mason has boxes of letters in his safe. I've seen them, birthday cards, Christmas cards, all from someone named Daddy. I thought it was a mistake. But it was you, wasn't it?" Cole's knees buckled. Ethan caught him, keeping him upright despite the cuffs. "Every birthday," Cole whispered. "Every Christmas." Every Easter, first day of school. I sent them all. Mason kept them, Ethan asked, surprised. In the safe, Ruby confirmed. With Mommy's pictures, I found them last month. Dozens and dozens, all saying, "Love, Daddy." One of the officers, a younger man with corporal stripes, slowly holstered his weapon. My dad was in Kandahar, lost his leg to an IED. The lead officer hesitated, then spoke into his radio. Stand down. Scene is secure. Suspect is cooperating. But the night wasn't done with its cruelties. From the ambulance, a paramedic shouted, "We need to move, now he's coding again." Ruby tried to run back, but Cole, even in cuffs, managed to catch her with his body. No, baby. Let them work. But Uncle Mason will be okay. Cole looked at Ethan over Ruby's head, both men recognizing the lie. He's tough. He raised you, didn't he? That's when they heard it, the distinctive whistle of a bullet cutting through air. Ethan's combat instincts kicked in before his conscious mind registered the threat. Sniper down! Everyone down! But Valor was already moving. The dog had sensed what humans couldn't, the minute shift in air pressure, the subsonic vibration of a rifle being aimed. He launched himself at Cole and Ruby, 70 pounds of muscle and loyalty intercepting the bullet meant for Cole's shoulder. The impact spun Valor midair, his yelp of pain cutting through the night like a blade. He crashed to the ground, blood immediately pooling beneath him. No! Ruby's scream was primal, throwing herself over the dog's body. Valor. No. 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 Active shooter. The police scattered for cover, radios crackling with urgent calls. Shots fired, officer needs assistance. But Ethan was already moving, combat crawling to Valor, his hands finding the wound entry point just behind the left shoulder, missing the heart by inches, but catching the lung. Blood frothed pink at the edges. Cole, still cuffed, threw his body over Ruby, shielding her with his back to the threat. Where's the shooter? Abandoned house, one officer reported, already moving tactically toward the structure. Third floor, northeast window. We've got movement. That's the Stevens place, Ethan said, applying pressure to Valor's wound. Been empty for 2 years. Valor's breathing was labored, each inhale a wet struggle. His amber eyes found Cole's, and his tail attempted a weak wag. I'm sorry, boy. Cole sobbed, unable to reach the dog with his hands bound. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. Ruby pulled off her pajama top, pressing it against the wound alongside Ethan's hands. You saved my daddy, she whispered to Valor. You saved him even though he was mean to you earlier. That's what heroes do, right? They save people even when it's hard. The dog's tongue lolled out, licking Ruby's hand once. We need to move him, Ethan said urgently. He needs surgery now. The ambulance. Someone started. Is taking Mason. Cole interrupted. There's an emergency vet clinic 6 blocks west. Dr. Coleman. She handles military dogs. How do you know? I researched everything about this neighborhood before I came tonight, Cole admitted. Every exit, every possible help. I knew it might go bad. I didn't think it would go this bad. 2 officers had reached the abandoned house, their shouts carrying across the night. Empty shooters gone. We've got a rifle and shit. Is this a suicide note? The lead officer's radio crackled. Note says, Christ, I won't let him take another child. Signed, Brandon Walsh. Cole went rigid. Walsh. But Walsh died in his son, Ethan said quietly, understanding flooding through him. Brandon Walsh, Thompson's nephew. He blamed you for the IED. But I tried to save. Grief doesn't care about truth, Ethan said, frantically working to stabilize Valor. He lost his uncle and his father figure in one day. In his mind, you were responsible. Valor's breathing became more labored, blood now flowing despite their efforts. Ruby was crying silently, her small hands buried in his fur. Please don't die, she whispered. Please. Everyone I love leaves. First Mommy, maybe Uncle Mason. I just found Daddy. And now you. Please don't leave too. The lead officer spoke into his radio again. We need that K-9 emergency unit. Now. He looked at Cole, something shifting in his expression. And get these cuffs off him. He's not our perp. He's a victim. As the cuffs fell away, Cole immediately pressed his hands over Ethan's, adding pressure to Valor's wound. The three of them, veteran, father, child, worked together to keep the dog alive, their hands covered in the blood of the animal who'd chosen love over loyalty, protection over training. Stay with us, boy, Cole whispered. You were right to protect her. You were always right. I was the one who was wrong, but you can't die thinking I don't forgive you. You hear me, I forgive you. Valor's tail thumped once against the ground, weak but deliberate. In the distance, sirens approached both the K-9 unit and additional ambulances. Mason was being rushed to surgery. Brandon Walsh was in the wind. And in the middle of a blood-soaked yard, a broken family held together a dying dog who'd somehow become the heart that connected them all. He's going to make it, Ethan said, though Valor's pulse was weakening under his fingers. He's the toughest soldier I know. But as Valor's eyes began to close, as his breathing became shallower, they all knew the hardest battle was just beginning. The fight for Valor's life would determine not just whether a dog lived or died, but whether this shattered family could find a way to heal, or whether the violence of the night would claim one more casualty in a war that had started half a world away and followed them home. Ruby began to sing, her voice small but clear. Sleep, my soldier, brave and true. Morning comes with skies of blue. Dreams will guard you through the night, till the dawn brings morning light. The soldier's song, Cole whispered, recognizing the lullaby he'd created for her as a baby. I remember, Ruby said simply. I remember everything. And as the emergency vehicle screamed closer, as the night dissolved into chaos and flashing lights, Valor fought to keep breathing. Held to life by the hands of the family he'd helped create through his sacrifice, proof that sometimes love requires choosing what's right over what's familiar, even if it breaks your heart. The K-9 unit screeched to a halt, but Ethan was already moving. We can't wait for them to stabilize him. He's losing too much blood. Without hesitation, he scooped Valor into his arms, the dog's dead weight nearly buckling his knees. Blood soaked through his shirt immediately, warm and sticky against his chest. Cole grabbed the trauma kit from the K-9 vehicle while Ruby ran alongside, her small hands maintaining pressure on the wound. I'm commandeering this vehicle, Ethan announced to the K-9 officer, already heading for the driver's seat. You can't. I'm invoking emergency veterinary protocol for a military working dog, Cole cut in, surprising everyone with his knowledge of regulations. Valor's chip number is MWD 4471. Check it. He's still technically Army property. The officer hesitated, then stepped aside. I'm driving. You keep him alive. They piled into the back, Valor across Ethan and Cole's laps. Ruby crouched on the floor, her hands never leaving the dog's fur. The vehicle lurched forward, sirens wailing, tearing through the empty Denver streets at speeds that would have been reckless if the situation weren't so desperate. Coleman veterinary emergency, Cole directed, his voice steady despite the tears streaming down his face. Take Sheridan to 38th, then west. It's in the industrial complex. How do you know? I told you. I researched everything. Cole's hands worked with Ethan's, maintaining pressure while supporting Valor's head. I knew if things went wrong, if anyone got hurt, I needed to know where help was. Ruby looked up at her father, seeing him clearly for the first time. Not the monster Uncle Mason had described, not the stranger who'd broken into their home, but a man who'd planned for every contingency except the one where his own dog would take a bullet meant for him. 3 blocks, the officer announced, taking a corner so fast the tires screamed. Valor's breathing had become barely perceptible, just the faintest rise and fall of his chest. His eyes were closed, his body limp. Only the weak pulse under Ethan's fingers indicated life remained. Stay with us, soldier, Ethan commanded. That's an order. The veterinary clinic materialized out of the darkness. Its emergency lights already on, someone had called ahead. The door burst open, and a woman in scrubs ran out with a gurney. "I'm Dr. Coleman," she said, her hands already assessing as they transferred Valor. "GSW to the thorax. 762 round," Cole confirmed. "Entry behind left shoulder, no exit wound. Probable pneumothorax, significant hemorrhaging." Dr. Coleman looked at him sharply. "Military. Former. We both are. This is MWD Valor. Service number." "I don't care about his number," she interrupted, wheeling him inside. "I care about saving his life." She looked at Ruby, covered in blood, shaking with shock. "Someone needs to—" "I'm staying," Ruby said firmly. "He's my dog, too." "She stays," Cole and Ethan said simultaneously. Dr. Coleman nodded. "All business." "Or two is prepped. He's lost too much blood." "What's his blood type?" "DEA 1.1 negative," Cole recited from memory. "Universal donor, but needs specific type for receiving. We don't have enough in stock. He needs at least 2 units." "Use mine," Cole said immediately. "I know we're compatible." Military regs required handler and dog blood typing for emergency field transfusions. Dr. Coleman stared at him. "You were his handler. Originally, before—" Cole's voice cracked. "Before I lost everything. We'll need more than you can safely give." She looked at Ethan. "Were you typed?" "Same blood type. All handlers in our unit were matched to our primaries. Then we have a chance. Maria," she called to a technician, "set up for direct transfusion. 2 donors. We're doing this old school." They rushed into the surgical suite, a controlled chaos of preparation. Valor was intubated within seconds. IVs established, monitors attached. The steady beep of his heart rate was terrifyingly slow. 60 beats per minute and falling, Maria announced. Blood pressure 70/40. "He's bleeding internally," Dr. Coleman said, her hands working inside the wound. "The bullet fragmented. I'm seeing multiple arterial bleeders. There. Got one. Clamp." Cole was directed to a chair beside the operating table, his arm quickly prepped. The needles sliding in felt like redemption, his blood flowing through tubes into Valor's failing body. "Talk to him," Dr. Coleman ordered while she worked. "They respond to familiar voices even under anesthesia." Cole leaned close to Valor's ear, his voice breaking. "Hey, boy. Remember when I first got you 8 weeks old, all paws and ears? You peed on Colonel Harrison's boots during your first inspection." Ruby giggled through her tears, moving closer to hear. "You were supposed to be Thompson's dog," Cole continued. "But you chose me, followed me everywhere, slept outside my tent even in sandstorms. And when Emma died—" His voice broke completely. "When Emma died, you were the only one who could make Ruby stop crying. You'd curl around her bassinet like you were guarding treasure." "Heart rate dropping," Maria warned. 52. Dr. Coleman worked faster. "There's another bleeder. Deeper. I need better visualization." She looked at the monitors. "We're losing him." "No," Ruby said firmly, her small hand finding Valor's paw. "You're not losing him. He's the strongest dog in the world. He survived a bomb. He survived mean people at the pound before Daddy found him. He survived being shot tonight. He's not dying from helping us." "Ruby's right," Ethan said, rolling up his sleeve. "Hook me up too. He needs more blood." As the second line was established, Ethan's blood joining Cole's in the fight to save Valor, Ruby began to sing again, the soldier's lullaby, soft and clear. Cole looked at his daughter in amazement. "You really do remember." "I remember everything," Ruby said. "The song, your voice, the way you used to throw me in the air and call me your little bird, the morning they took you away. You were 2. I was almost 3. And I watched from the window as the police put you in the car. You looked back at the house, and you were crying. Cole's tears fell freely now, mixing with the sterile atmosphere of the OR. I'm so sorry, baby. I tried to get better. I tried to come back. I know, Ruby said simply. Uncle Mason has a box. Not just letters. Pictures, too. Of you getting awards. Newspaper clips about the soldiers you saved. He kept everything. What? Cole stared at her. But he said, he lied to everybody else. But he kept the truth in a box. Heart rate 38. Maria announced urgently. We're about to lose him. Doctor. Coleman's hands moved with desperate precision. Found it. Major arterial damage. If I can just... They're sutured. Come on, Valor. Come on. The monitor flatlined. No, Ruby screamed. Starting compressions. Doctor, Coleman announced, her small hands pumping Valor's heart manually. 1 mil epi. Now. Cole tried to stand, but the transfusion line held him back. Valor, don't you dare. You hear me, don't you dare leave her. Ethan grabbed Ruby as she tried to throw herself on the table. Let them work, sweetheart. Let them work. He can't die, Ruby sobbed. He saved Daddy. He saved us all. 30 seconds of compressions. Nothing. 45 seconds. The flatline continued its terrible drone. Again, Dr. Rhea Coleman ordered. Higher dose. That could do it. Another injection. More compressions. Cole and Ethan's blood flowing into a body that might already be gone. Please, Cole whispered. I know I failed you. I know I wasn't the handler you deserved. But she needs you. Ruby needs you. Don't punish her for my mistakes. 60 seconds. 75. Come on, soldier, Ethan commanded. You've never failed a mission. Don't start now. 90 seconds. A blip on the monitor. Then another. Then a rhythm weak. Thready. But there. We've got him back, Dr. Coleman announced, not stopping her work. But he's not stable. The damage is extensive. She worked for another hour, both men continuing their blood donation past safe limits, their own vitals being monitored by Maria. Ruby never let go of Valor's paw, whispering stories about all the adventures they'd have when he woke up. Finally, Dr. Coleman stepped back, exhausted. I've done everything I can. The next few hours will tell us if it was enough. What are his chances? Cole asked, though he could barely focus, lightheaded from blood loss. If he makes it through the night, maybe 40%. If infection doesn't set in, 50-50. If his heart holds up after the arrest, I honestly don't know. They moved Valor to recovery, Cole and Ethan stumbling alongside, supported by technicians. Ruby curled up beside the dog's still form, her ear against his chest, listening to each heartbeat as if she could will them to continue. You did this, Cole said to Ethan quietly. You saved him. We saved him, Ethan corrected. All of us. Even Mason if he hadn't collapsed. We might not have stopped to help. Might have escalated things differently. Is that supposed to make me feel better? That Mason's heart attack saved my dog? No. It's supposed to remind you that sometimes terrible things lead to necessary endings. And beginnings. Ruby looked up at them. Uncle Mason says that too, that bad things sometimes make room for good things. When did he say that? When he told me about Mommy dying. He said the bad thing was losing her. But the good thing was getting me. Cole had to turn away, overwhelmed. Here was his daughter, wise beyond her years, shaped by the man who'd kept her from him, but also, apparently, kept his memory alive in hidden boxes and careful words. Dr. Coleman returned with a tablet. I need medical history, vaccinations, previous injuries, anything that might affect treatment. Cole and Ethan began reciting from memory every injury from Afghanistan, every close call, every vaccination and treatment. Their shared knowledge painted a picture of a dog who'd lived through more than most humans, who'd saved lives on 3 continents, who'd earned his scars the hardest way possible. No wonder he survived, Dr. Coleman said softly. He's got more lives than a cat. Just the one, Cole said, watching Valor's chest rise and fall. But he uses it to save everyone else's. As dawn approached, turning the clinical white walls a softer gold, 3 people and 1 miraculous dog held vigil against death. Ruby had fallen asleep with her head on Valor's shoulder, her small breaths matching his labored ones. Cole and Ethan sat on either side, brothers in blood and service, united by the dog they'd both loved and nearly lost. If he lives, Cole said quietly. What happens to him, to us? If he lives, Ethan replied. We figure it out, all of us, together. Mason might not survive either. Then we figure that out too. And Ruby? They both looked at the sleeping child, her face peaceful despite the dried blood on her clothes, her hands still tangled in Valor's fur. Ruby's already figured it out, Ethan said. She knows what we're still learning, that family isn't about blood or law or who has custody. It's about who shows up when the bullets start flying. The first crisis came at 4:00 a.m. exactly, as if death had been waiting for the darkest moment before dawn. Valor's monitors erupted in alarms, the steady beep dissolving into chaos. Dr. Coleman rushed back in, her face grave as she read the displays. He's going into cardiac arrest again, the stress on his heart from the blood loss. She was already moving, preparing syringes. We're losing him. Ruby, who'd been sleeping against Valor's side, jolted awake. No! What's happening? Get her out, Dr. Coleman ordered. But Ruby clung to the table with desperate strength. I'm not leaving him. I'm not. Through the observation window, they could see the trauma bay where Mason was being worked on, his own monitors showing dangerous irregularities. A nurse ran between the rooms, and they heard her urgent words. The man in Bay 2 is coding. Dr. Patel needs assistance. Uncle Mason. Ruby pressed against the glass, then back to Valor, torn between 2 failing heartbeats. Why does everyone I love leave? Why does everyone have to leave? Cole dropped to his knees beside his daughter, weak from blood donation but forcing himself to be strong for her. They're not leaving, baby. They're fighting. Look, see Dr. Coleman working. See how hard she's trying. On the table, Valor's body convulsed as Dr. Coleman administered another round of epinephrine. Nothing. The flatline screamed its electronic wail. Together, Ethan said suddenly, grabbing Cole's hand and placing it over Ruby's. The creed. He needs to hear it. Cole understood immediately. Their voices joined, rough with emotion, reciting words etched into every military handler's soul. I am a military working dog, guardian of the night, protector of the innocent. My courage is my armor, my loyalty my strength. I will stand between danger and those I protect. I will not fail. I will not falter. I will not forget. Until my last breath, I serve. Ruby's small voice joined them on the last line, though she'd never heard the words before. Until my last breath, I serve. The monitor blipped. Once, twice, a rhythm, faint but persistent. Got him back, Dr. Coleman said, but her relief was tempered. This can't keep happening. His heart can't take the strain. She looked at them directly. There's a procedure, experimental, but it saved dogs in similar conditions. It involves synthetic blood volume expanders and cardiac mesh support. Do it, Cole said immediately. I need to be transparent about the cost. The materials alone are $15,000. The procedure needs to be paid up front. It's not covered by any insurance, and the supplier requires immediate payment. The room went silent except for Valor's labored breathing and the distant sounds of the team working on Mason. I have 12,000, Ethan said after a moment. It was Emma's college fund. Everything I saved for my daughter before. He couldn't finish. Cole stared at him. Ethan. No. That's all you have left of her. She's gone, Ethan said simply. Valor's not. Emma would understand. She loved dogs. He pulled out his phone, fingers shaking as he accessed his banking app. Where do I transfer it? It's not enough. Dr. Coleman said gently. I'm sorry, but I have 3,000. Cole's voice was barely a whisper. Hidden in my apartment, behind the water heater. There's a loose panel. 3,000 in cash. My escape money. The police officer who'd driven them stepped forward. Escape money. Cole met his eyes steadily. I was planning to run. If tonight went bad, take Ruby and disappear. Start over somewhere where Mason couldn't find us. He looked at his daughter, shame etched deep. I'm sorry, baby. I was going to steal you, like a thief in the night. But you didn't, Ruby said, understanding more than any 7-year-old should. You stayed. You helped Uncle Mason. You gave blood to Valor. The officer spoke into his radio, dispatching units to Cole's apartment. 20 minutes to retrieve it. He might not have 20 minutes, Dr. Coleman warned. From the trauma bay, they heard shouting. Through the window, they could see the medical team performing CPR on Mason, his body jerking with each compression. Ruby made a sound like a wounded animal. Go, Cole told Ethan. Go to Mason. She needs someone there if... You go, Ethan countered. Show them you care about him too. I can't leave Valor. Not now. Then we both stay, Ethan decided. Ruby needs to see that Valor has everyone fighting for him. Cole looked at his former squad leader, his brother in arms, the man who'd taken over raising his dog and now stood ready to sacrifice his dead daughter's future for that same dog. Ethan, if Valor dies saving me from that bullet... He didn't save you from a bullet, Ethan interrupted. He saved you from yourself. Cole's composure finally cracked completely. I brought a gun, he confessed, the words tumbling out. Not just the knife. There's a .38 hidden in the storm drain outside Mason's house. I was going to... If he tried to stop me from taking Ruby, I was prepared to kill him. Yes. The admission hung between them like a physical weight. But then Valor stood between us. My own dog, trained by my hands, chose to protect them from me. And I realized, Christ, I realized what I'd become, what I was about to do. He knew what you didn't, Ethan said quietly, that Ruby needed all of us, even Mason, maybe especially Mason, who loved her enough to keep boxes of memories of a man he feared. He saved my soul, didn't he? Cole looked at Valor's still form. That dog saved me from becoming a murderer. Dr. Coleman interrupted their confession. The officer just radioed. They have the money. But there's a problem. What problem? Ethan demanded. The supplier needs $15,000 exactly. No payment plans, no exceptions. You're still short. From the doorway, a weak voice spoke. Whatever it costs. They turned to see Mason being wheeled past on a gurney, barely conscious, an oxygen mask over his face. He pushed it aside with trembling fingers. My wallet. In my jacket. There's a credit card. No limit. Use it. Mason, Cole started, but the older man raised a shaking hand. I'm dying, Mason said simply. Heart's too damaged. Doctor told me. Hours. Maybe a day. He looked at Ruby, his eyes full of love and regret. But the dog, Valor can live, should live. He tried to save us all tonight. Uncle Mason, no. Ruby ran to his gurney, grabbing his hand. You can't die, you can't. Sweet girl, Mason whispered, touching her face. Sometimes loving someone means making sure they have what they need when you're gone. The dog, Valor, will protect you, like he protected your daddy tonight, like he protected me from doing something unforgivable. What do you mean? Ruby asked. Mason looked at Cole. The restraining order, the lies, keeping you apart. I told myself it was for her safety, but really, I was afraid of losing her like I lost my sister. Fear makes monsters of us all. The medical team needed to move Mason to surgery. As they wheeled him away, he pressed his credit card into Dr. Coleman's hand. Save the dog, whatever it takes. Promise me. I promise, she said, already heading back to prep. Maria, get the synthetic blood expanders from the emergency stock. Call Dr. Harrison, we need the cardiac mesh kit. Now. As they prepared Valor for the experimental procedure, Cole found himself praying for the first time since Emma's death. Not to a god he'd stopped believing in, but to the universe, to whatever forces governed life and death. Please, he whispered. I know I don't deserve mercy, but Valor does. Ruby does. Even Mason does. Let the dog live. Let something good come from all this pain. Ethan stood beside him, their shoulders touching, brothers bound by more than service now. He'll make it, he said, though uncertainty colored his words. He has to. Why? Cole asked. Why does he have to? Because, Ruby said, her small hand slipping into her father's. That's what heroes do. They save everyone else first. Then, when everyone's safe, they save themselves. As Dr. Coleman began the procedure that would either save Valor's life or confirm that even heroes have limits, the first rays of dawn painted the clinical walls gold. 3 lives hung in the balance: a dog who'd chosen love over loyalty, a man who'd chosen fear over forgiveness, and a family that might finally choose healing over hurt. The tragedy wasn't in the dying. Cole realized it was in how much time they'd wasted being apart, how much love they'd denied in the name of anger and fear. But if Valor could survive this, if Mason could hold on, if forgiveness could bloom in soil watered by blood and tears, then maybe tragedy could transform into something else entirely. Maybe it could become redemption. The experimental procedure had taken 2 hours. 2 hours of watching Dr. Coleman's hands work miracles with synthetic blood expanders and microscopic cardiac mesh. 2 hours of Ruby singing every song she could remember. 2 hours of Cole and Ethan standing shoulder to shoulder like they had in Kandahar. At 4:30 a.m., Dr. Coleman finally stepped back, pulling off her surgical mask. He's stable. The words hung in the air like a prayer answered. Stable. Cole's voice cracked. He's going to live. His heart rhythm is strong, stronger than it has any right to be after 2 arrests. The mesh is supporting the damaged tissue, and his blood volume is back to sustainable levels. She paused, her expression sobering. But there's permanent damage. The bullet fragments caused nerve trauma to his left shoulder and spine. He'll likely never walk normally again. Maybe not at all. But he's alive, Ruby said, as if that was all that mattered. And perhaps it was. Cole moved to embrace Ethan, forgetting for a moment about the handcuffs that had been replaced after the emergency. The metal bit into his wrists, a harsh reminder of reality. Instead, Ethan gripped his shoulder, the gesture saying everything words couldn't. He's the bravest dog in the whole world, Ruby declared, gently stroking Valor's ear. He got shot saving Daddy, and he still lived. That makes him the bravest, right? The bravest, Cole agreed, tears streaming freely down his face. That's when they heard the commotion from the hallway. Mason was being wheeled back from surgery, conscious but clearly failing. His skin had taken on the gray pallor that Ethan recognized from too many battlefield deaths. The surgeon, Dr. Patel, was speaking urgently to a nurse about comfort measures and calling family. Bring him in here, Dr. Coleman said suddenly. If these are his last hours, he shouldn't be alone. They wheeled Mason's gurney next to Valor's recovery table. The man and dog, who'd both nearly died in the chaos of the night, now side by side. Mason's eyes, clouded with pain medication, found Cole. "Need to tell you." Mason's voice was barely a whisper. "Save your strength," Cole said. But Mason shook his head weakly. "No. Listen." He gestured for the nurse to help him sit up slightly. "I'm dying. Not from tonight. Been dying for a year." "What?" Ruby moved closer, confusion written across her face. "Uncle Mason, congestive heart failure, diagnosed 13 months ago." Each word seemed to cost him enormously. 6 months to a year. They said, "Been living on borrowed time." Cole stared at him. "You knew you were dying and you still kept Ruby from me. Because of it." Mason's hand found Ruby's, squeezing weakly. "Needed to make sure she'd be okay, stable, before I left her. So you erased me instead." "No." Mason pointed to his jacket hanging on a nearby chair. "Inside pocket, please." Ethan retrieved the jacket, finding an envelope worn soft from handling. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Handwriting that Cole recognized immediately, Emma's. "Read it," Mason whispered. Cole's hands shook as he unfolded the letter. His wife's last words, written hours before Ruby's birth, hours before her death. "My dearest Cole, if you're reading this, something went wrong. I need you to know 3 things. I love you beyond measure. Ruby will need you to be strong, and you'll need help. That's why I'm asking Ethan to stand as co-guardian with you. Not because I don't trust you, but because I know the weight of loss. I know what it did to you when we lost the baby before Ruby. I know your demons, my love, and I know Ethan knows how to fight them with you. He saved you in Afghanistan. Let him save you again. Let him save our daughter. Together, you two can give her what she needs, a father's love and a guardian's protection. If Ethan can't or won't, then Mason should help. My brother loves deeply, even if he shows it through control. Trust each other. Forgive each other. Love our little bird for me. Forever yours. Emma." The letter fluttered from Cole's numb fingers. "She named Ethan. She named you both," Mason corrected. "I destroyed my copy. Told the lawyer Emma was confused from the medications. Convinced him sole custody to me was what she meant." "You son of a bitch," Cole breathed, but there was no heat in it. Only exhaustion. "I was wrong," Mason admitted. "But when you got arrested 2 years later, I thought I was vindicated. Thought Emma had been naive. Then Ethan showed up last year." "What?" Ethan looked confused. "I never—" "You came to Ruby's school, the Veterans Day assembly. You didn't see us, but Ruby saw Valor doing his demonstration. She was drawn to him like a magnet. Started asking about soldier dogs, about her daddy." Mason coughed, a wet sound that brought a nurse running. After checking his vitals, she stepped back, her expression grave. Mason continued with effort. "I started researching. Found out about you and Cole, your squad. Emma's letter made sense then. She knew Cole would need his brother. Not blood, but brotherhood." The door opened, and a woman in a severe suit entered, followed by 2 police officers. "I'm Assistant District Attorney Margaret Walsh." Cole went rigid. "Walsh, as in, Brandon Walsh is my nephew," she said coldly. "The man who tried to kill you tonight." The room tensed, everyone waiting for what came next. "He's in custody," she continued. "Turned himself in an hour ago. He's been planning this for years. Apparently, blamed you for his uncle's death, even though the reports show you tried to save him." "I did try. I know." Her voice softened slightly. "Brandon's sick. PTSD by proxy, the psychiatrist calls it. He fixated on you as the enemy because he needed someone to blame." She looked at the scene before her, Cole in handcuffs. Valor unconscious and wounded. Ruby covered in blood. Mason dying. What a mess grief makes of us all. She pulled out a tablet, reviewing notes. So, breaking and entering, violation of a restraining order, child endangerment, possession of an illegal firearm found in the storm drain. Cole's head dropped. I know. I'm going back to prison. That's one option. Walsh studied him. The other is what Mr. Brennan proposed to me 20 minutes ago. Mason struggled to speak. Told her everything. My lies. The letters. The real will. How I provoked this. You didn't provoke me breaking in. I provoked 5 years of desperation. Mason interrupted. Any father would have snapped. Walsh continued. There's also Mr. Carter's testimony about your mental state, your immediate efforts to save Mr. Brennan's life, and... She paused, looking at Valor. The fact that you were shot at while trying to help. You're as much a victim tonight as anyone. What are you saying? I'm saying I have discretion. Prison helps no one here. Mr. Brennan won't be alive to testify if this goes to trial. Your daughter needs stability, not another trauma. She pulled out documents. Veterans Treatment Court, mandatory counseling, 2 years supervision, complete the program, and the charges disappear. That's it. Cole couldn't believe what he was hearing. That's it. On one condition. Walsh looked at Ethan. Mr. Carter agrees to supervise. You live with him or near him. You co-parent Ruby. You rebuild what Mr. Brennan broke. But you do it right. Legal. Supervised. Safe. I'll do it, Ethan said immediately. We've shared foxholes in Afghanistan. We can share raising Ruby. Ruby, who'd been silent, suddenly spoke. Valor needs all his people. Mommy knew that. She knew Daddy needed Uncle Ethan. She knew I'd need both. She looked at the prosecutor. I want my daddy, but I want him better. Can you make him better? The innocence of the question broke something in the room. Even Walsh's professional mask cracked. We'll try, sweetheart. We'll all try. Cole looked at Valor, still unconscious, but breathing steadily. You chose right, boy, he whispered. You protected her from what I might have become. From the man with the gun in the storm drain. From the monster grief was making me. He turned to Ethan. I don't deserve this second chance. No one deserves grace, Ethan replied. That's what makes it grace. I'll earn it. Every day. I swear. We'll do this together, Ethan said firmly. Like Afghanistan. You and me, and a dog that won't quit. Like a family, Ruby added. A weird, broken, but real family. Mason's weak voice drew their attention. Cole. Come here. Cole moved closer, and Mason gripped his hand with surprising strength. I'm sorry. For everything. Take care of her. The way I should have let you. Mason. The house. It's paid off. Life insurance. It's all going to Ruby, but you and Ethan, you'll manage it. Together. Promise me. We promise, both men said simultaneously. Mason smiled weakly. Emma was right. You two together. That's what Ruby needs. He looked at his niece. Sweet girl. I'm sorry I lied. I thought I was protecting you. I know, Uncle Mason, Ruby said, wise beyond her years. Fear makes us do stupid things. Daddy was scared too. That's why he brought the gun. But valor stopped everyone from doing the stupid things. As if responding to his name, Valor's tail twitched, just once. but enough to let them know he was still fighting, still present, still the bridge between all these broken people trying to find their way back to wholeness. "The sun's coming up," someone noted, and they all turned to see dawn painting the Denver sky in shades of gold and rose. "New day," Cole said quietly. "New chances. New family," Ruby corrected, her hand on Valor's fur, her eyes on the men who would raise her, the dog who would protect her, and the uncle whose impending death would somehow give them all permission to live. The truth hadn't set them free, not yet, but it had opened a door that 5 years of lies had kept locked. And on the other side of that door was something none of them had dared hope for: forgiveness, redemption, and the possibility that love could grow in even the most damaged soil. The first sign of Valor's return to consciousness came at 6:00 a.m. exactly, as the sunrise painted the veterinary clinic in shades of amber and gold. His tail moved, not the reflexive twitch they'd seen earlier, but a deliberate, weak wag that sent Ruby into joyful tears. "He's awake, Daddy. Ethan, look, Valor's awake." The German shepherd's eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first, then sharpening as they found Ruby. His tail moved again, stronger this time, thumping once against the padded table. Then his gaze traveled to Cole, and something passed between dog and former handler: forgiveness, perhaps, or simply acknowledgement that they'd both survived the night. "Hey, boy," Cole whispered, his cuffed hands preventing him from reaching out. "You did good. You did so good." Valor's tongue emerged, dry and pale, attempting to lick the air in Cole's direction. Then he looked for Ethan, completing his survey of his people, ensuring everyone was accounted for. "We're all here," Ethan assured him, his hand gentle on Valor's head. "Even Mason." At the mention of the name, Valor's eyes shifted to the gurney where Mason lay, barely conscious but still breathing. The dog whined softly, a sound of concern that proved he held no grudges, even against the man who'd been part of keeping his family apart. Dr. Coleman returned with her morning assessment. "Remarkable. His vitals are stronger than I expected. The cardiac mesh is holding perfectly." She ran her hands along Valor's spine, checking responses. "The paralysis concerns me, though his back legs show minimal response." "But he'll live?" Ruby asked, the only question that mattered to her. "He'll live," Dr. Coleman confirmed, "but he may need wheels, a mobility cart. Many military dogs adapt well to them." "Then he'll be the fastest dog on wheels ever," Ruby declared with the confidence only a child could muster. Mason stirred, his voice barely audible. "Cole." Everyone moved closer to hear his words. "The safe. Combination is Emma's birthday. Everything's there. Letters, photos, videos." "Videos." Cole's voice broke. "Ruby's birthdays. Christmas mornings. First steps. Everything I kept from you but couldn't throw away." Mason's breathing became more labored. "Figured. Someday, when she was older, she'd want to know." "Know what?" Ruby asked. "That her daddy never stopped loving her. Every letter, every card, even from prison. Sometimes 2 a week." Mason looked at Cole with eyes full of regret. "I'm sorry. Fear is a terrible advisor." Cole found his voice through the tears. "I forgive you. You loved her. You kept her safe. That matters more than the rest." Mason smiled weakly. "Take care of our girl. All 3 of you." His eyes included Valor in that count. "She's going to be extraordinary." Those were Mason Brennan's last coherent words. He slipped into unconsciousness shortly after, his breathing becoming irregular, the monitors showing the inevitable decline. He passed quietly at 7:43 a.m., with Ruby holding one hand and Cole holding the other, united in grief over the man who'd torn them apart, but ultimately brought them together. 1 month later, The funeral had been beautiful and painful. Ruby read a letter she'd written to Uncle Mason, thanking him for the years of love while forgiving him for the lies. Cole and Ethan served as pallbearers, along with 4 of Mason's colleagues. The church was packed. Mason had been beloved in his community, whatever his faults. Valor attended in his new mobility cart, his back legs supported by wheels that Ruby had insisted on decorating with flame decals. "He's not disabled," she'd told anyone who stared. "He's modified for enhanced awesomeness." The dog had adapted to the cart with military precision, learning to navigate with his front legs while the wheels supported his paralyzed rear. If anything, he seemed proud of the contraption, especially when Ruby attached a small wagon so he could pull her toys. Cole's transition to Ethan's house had been harder. 25 years of friendship couldn't erase 5 years of prison conditioning overnight. He jumped at sudden noises, hoarded food unconsciously, and couldn't sleep in a bed only on the floor with his back to the wall. But Ethan understood. He'd had his own readjustment after Afghanistan. They established routines. Morning runs, Cole jogging, Valor rolling alongside, breakfast together, Cole's counseling sessions 3 times a week, Ruby's therapy twice a week to process the trauma and changes, evening walks, homework help, bedtime stories that Cole was relearning how to tell. "You're doing good," Ethan told him one night after Ruby was asleep, Valor stationed by her door like always. "Better than good. I feel like an imposter sometimes," Cole admitted. "Like I'm playing at being a father. Every parent feels that way. The difference is you're not pretending to be perfect. Ruby sees you trying. That matters more than getting it right." 6 months later, the nonprofit was Ethan's idea, but it became Cole's purpose. Valor's Warriors, helping veterans reconnect with children after trauma, addiction, or incarceration. They used Mason's house as headquarters, the place that had once symbolized separation now becoming a center for reunification. Valor served as the program's therapy dog, his wheelchair making him even more effective. "Kids see him and realize that being broken doesn't mean being worthless," Cole explained to a reporter doing a story on the program. "He shows them that heroes come in all conditions." Ruby had returned to school with a story no one quite believed until she brought Valor for show and tell. The local news picked it up. War dog sacrifice reunites family. Donations poured in. Veterans reached out. Families began healing. Cole completed his court-mandated therapy ahead of schedule. His counselor, Dr. Martinez, noted in her report, "Mr. Mitchell has shown exceptional progress in addressing his trauma, addiction recovery, and parenting skills. His dedication to helping other veterans through similar struggles demonstrates genuine rehabilitation." The prosecutor, Margaret Walsh, visited the program one afternoon. Her nephew Brandon was in federal psychiatric treatment, but she'd been following Cole's progress. "You've built something good from something terrible," she told him. "We all did," Cole corrected, watching Valor teaching a group of children that different didn't mean less than. Even Brandon, in a twisted way. His breakdown forced our breakthrough. "That's a generous interpretation. Grace is generous," Cole said. "Ethan taught me that." 1 year later. Christmas. The house smelled of pine and cinnamon. Ruby had insisted on a real tree, because Valor needs real smells, not fake ones. The German shepherd lay beneath it, his wheelchair parked nearby, wearing the ridiculous reindeer antlers Ruby had bought him. The morning was perfect chaos. Ruby shrieked with delight at each present. Valor barked at the wrapping paper, and Cole and Ethan documented everything with the dedication of men who'd missed too many Christmases. "There's one more present," Ruby announced mysteriously, producing a small wrapped box. "For everyone." Inside were 3 ornaments photo frames containing the same image, Valor in his wheelchair, surrounded by Cole, Ethan, and Ruby. Taken at the Veterans Day Parade, where Valor had received a service medal from the mayor. "For our first Christmas as a real family," Ruby explained. But the real surprise came that afternoon. Dr. Coleman arrived with news that would change everything. Valor's been chosen for an experimental treatment. Stem cell therapy combined with nerve regeneration stimulation. There's a chance, small but real, that he could regain some function. How much would it cost? Cole asked, already calculating what they could sell. Nothing. It's fully funded by a research grant. But there's more. She smiled. Valor's going to be a father. We found a perfect genetic match, a female military working dog named Liberty. The puppies could carry on his legacy. Ruby squealed loud enough to make Valor bark in alarm. Puppies, Valor's going to have puppies. 7, to be exact. Dr. Coleman confirmed. Due in March. That night, after Ruby was asleep, Cole and Ethan sat on the porch despite the cold, watching Valor navigate the snowy yard in his cart with undiminished dignity. A year ago, I was planning a kidnapping, Cole said quietly. Now we're planning for puppies. Life's funny that way, Ethan replied. Sometimes the worst night of your life becomes the first night of your real life. 2 years later, the wedding. Nobody was surprised when Ethan and Dr. Sarah Coleman started dating. She'd saved Valor's life, but more than that. She understood the bond between soldiers and their dogs, trauma and healing, breaking and mending. The wedding was small, held in the backyard of what everyone now called the family house. Ruby served as flower girl, scattering petals with excessive enthusiasm. Cole stood as best man, his 2 years of sobriety and therapy having restored the soldier Ethan remembered from better days. But the real star was Valor Ringbearer, walking slowly but steadily on his own legs, the experimental treatment having returned partial function. 7 puppies tumbled around the yard, each named by Ruby Hope, faith, grace, peace, honor, courage, and love. They'd been placed with veteran families in the program, but all were present for the celebration. A living legacy of one dog sacrifice. During the reception, Ruby gave a speech that silenced the entire gathering. 2 years ago, Valor got shot saving my daddy from a bullet, but he really saved all of us from something worse, staying broken and apart. Uncle Mason used to say that love means protecting people, even from themselves. Valor protected Daddy from becoming bad, protected me from being scared, and protected Uncle Mason from dying alone. Now we're a family, weird and patched together, but real. And it's all because a dog knew something we didn't, that loving someone means choosing what's right, even when it hurts. As the sun set, Valor lay in the grass, surrounded by his puppies and his people. His scarred body bore witness to the price of loyalty, but his contented sighs spoke of peace earned through sacrifice. Cole knelt beside him, running his hands through the gray, now threading Valor's muzzle. You saved us all, boy. Every single one of us. Valor's tail thumped against the ground, whole, strong, sure, around them. The wedding continued, laughter mixing with music, children playing with puppies, veterans sharing stories of dogs who'd saved more than lives. Look at that, Ethan said, joining them with his new bride. A soldier, a dog, and a second chance that actually worked. 3 soldiers, Ruby corrected, appearing with Hope, the boldest of Valor's puppies, in her arms. Valor's a soldier too, the best one. That night, as the family that tragedy built settled into sleep, Valor took his usual position by Ruby's door. His legs might not work perfectly. His body bore scars that would never fade, but his mission continued, protecting, serving, bridging the gaps between broken people who'd found their way home. Through the window, the Colorado stars shone brilliant and cold, but inside the house, warmth prevailed. 3 men's voices had once recited a military creed over his dying body. Now, a child's peaceful breathing proved the creed fulfilled. He had not failed. He had not faltered. He had not forgotten. Until his last breath, he would serve. And surrounded by the family his sacrifice had created, Valor knew his service had been worth every scar. Epilogue. Sometimes redemption comes on 4 legs, wearing fur and carrying the kind of loyalty that reminds broken men they're still worth saving. Valor taught us that the strongest bridges aren't built with steel, they're built with forgiveness. One paw print at a time. From Cole Mitchell's memoir, The Dog Who Chose. This story reminds us that family isn't defined by blood or legal documents, but by who shows up when the bullets start flying literally or figuratively. Valor, a scarred military dog, understood something we humans often forget. Love sometimes means protecting people from themselves, and true loyalty means choosing what's right over what's familiar. Cole's 5-year separation from Ruby represents every parent who's been unfairly kept from their child. Mason's fear-driven lies show how grief and trauma can transform love into control. Ethan's willingness to sacrifice his daughter's college fund proves that honoring the dead sometimes means saving the living. And Ruby's innocent wisdom that bad things sometimes make room for good things teaches us that forgiveness isn't weakness, but the ultimate strength. Gratitude emerges not from perfect families, but from broken ones that choose to heal together. When Valor took that bullet, he didn't just save Cole from physical harm, he saved an entire family from the prison of their own making. Sometimes it takes a dog's pure heart to remind us that redemption is possible, that second chances exist, and that love can grow in the most damaged soil. Have you or someone you know ever been wrongfully denied access to your children like Cole, forced to fight a system that painted you as dangerous when you were just broken and trying to heal?